And then these 1,500-meter semis for the men, this event, extremely deep, and they ran incredibly quick. The first heat, which featured Timothy Cheruiyot, ended up not even being the fastest heat. The fastest heat was Heat 2, where Kipsang of Kenya ran 3:31. Cheruiyot was not the first across the line, so I don't know if that foreshadows anything for the final. Cole Hocker got through for the U.S. Matt Centrowitz did not advance. Stuart McSwain pushed the pace in that second heat. All three Brits are through. Jakob Ingebrigtsen looked comfortable. What were your main takeaways?
I mean, we're just Cole Hocker, dude. Could he be the next one in line to like start going on a run for doing well at these international 1500s? I know it's a prelim and top 5 auto qualify, but he's just got to win over Timothy Cheruiyot. Like, that doesn't happen that often. That's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. The 19-year-old coming off of college who was debating whether or not he would do cross country, was running indoor in March, is now back in August, like just finishing ahead in a 1500 against Timothy Cheruiyot. Again, I know Cheruiyot doesn't matter. He's like first, second, third, doesn't matter. But it's kind of interesting as an American to see such a young kid do so well through the first 2 rounds. And when he juxtapose it with Centrowitz, who we kind of thought like he's the one that's going to be able to have that experience. We know he said he's one of the fittest shapes he's ever been in his life. He tried to break an American record a few weeks ago, and now he's not even in the final. It shows that making a 1,500-meter final is not easy, because when Centro can't do it, that shows that, like, hey, anything can happen. And the fact that now Cole Hocker is in there, it's kind of wild. This could be the changing of the guard right here, right? If Cole Hocker goes out there and gets a medal or fourth, it's kind of what like Centro was doing during his Oregon days, right? Mm-hmm. When he was coming on strong, winning NCAAs, going over to USAs, he was going up against a Bernard Lagat, who was like the seasoned vet in the 1500, and then eventually got his own and started going on a run of getting multiple medals. Maybe this is Cole Hocker's start of the Centro journey, where he beats the seasoned vet in Centro at USAs, and now he's making his first final. Maybe he gets his feet wet, gets a 4th or 5th, and then on his home college track, he can maybe win a global medal. It'll be wild, but I'm excited to see how Hocker does. He hasn't shown any signs of he can't handle this level, the big leagues, you could say. So I'm excited to see how he puts himself in it when it comes down to the final 2-300. But all the other main people got through, right? Kerr got through. Obviously, Ingebrigtsen and Cheruiyot. Lewandowski didn't make it. Oliver Hort got through. Hey, Great Britain, they got how many people did they get?
3.
They get all 3 of their countrymen in. We talk about who has scoring 1,500. We're gonna have what? We'll have 2 Kenyans, 3 Great Britain, and then
2 Aussies.
2 Aussies and 1 American, and 1 of everything else. 2 Spaniards.
This is wide open.
3 Great Britons to 2 Kenyans. That's like, dude, Great Britain, they're doing something right.
The 2nd championship in a row. That's what happened in 2019 as well, too. Yeah. This is wide open. I think Cheruiyot's still the favorite. I know he got beat, but I'm going to lean on all the other performances and say he's still the favorite. Yeah. It's hard to tell because he got passed, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's going backwards. He may not qualify. Then he righted the ship immediately, which makes me think, okay, he'll be okay for the final. But I think any of these 12, like, we're so used to seeing ridiculously slow tactical 1,500-meter heats until very recently that it was hard to take anything away from the heats. And now we have people running 3:31 in heats, and you think it's going to be just as fast, if not faster, in the final. But I mean, who are you counting out at this point of this field? I guess there's some names you don't know and not aren't as familiar with, but everybody had to run so fast just to get here. And then you add in the fact that it's a 1,500 and wild stuff does happen. I think Hocker can obviously medal. I don't think that's crazy to say at all. I think the gold medal is a lot more in doubt than I thought going into this meet. It's just going to be a wild race.
Yeah. And Jacob Ingebrigtsen, everyone's just sleeping on him. We forget about him.
Are we forgetting? Has anybody ever slept on Jacob Ingebrigtsen? I feel like he's been getting attention since he's like 14 years old.
Well, we haven't really talked about it. We're talking about the I think.
Well, he's going to be fine.
To win, so hopefully it works.
He's fine, and I think you can pencil in it's going to be a sub 330 race. I think McSwain, if not Chariot, then McSwain is going to make it honest because that guy just bursts out of the pack. I wanted to talk a little bit about Centro. So he had this real impressive stat, which was his record making it to finals in global championships. Obviously, his medals are impressive too, but this is only the second time in 8 global outdoor championships that he's missed a final. He's always been in it. He's always been there. This one, he was a bit farther back. Looked like he was going to be able to make a move, but then the last 100 just wasn't able to close that space. He could have gotten. He missed it by 2 places here. So because both of the small cues came from his heat. I mean, the time was quick, and he just wasn't able to bring it in. But this is, like I said, 8 global championships that he's participated in, and he's gotten in the final into 6 of them. The longevity with him is just staggering. Won't be in the final. It would have been really interesting to have him in the final because, again, you'd have liked his chances in a wide open final. Which, like, the medals, I think, are more open than they were in 2019 when Chariot just blew that race open and then everybody was scrambling. I think he'd have had a better shot than he would in 2019, but not able to advance.
Here's a question for you. If Hocker was in Centro's heat and Centro was in Hocker's heat, do you think the same result happens where Hocker qualifies and Centro doesn't? Because talking about Centro really good at navigating rounds, typically rounds are slow, and Centro's notorious for just being able to be a great tactician and be in good position, but he's not known for being able to be a consistent 330, 329, 331 type runner.
Yeah.
Put him in the other heat where it was slower. Does he able to finish top 5, beat out the Spanish athlete Fontes or someone else? And does Hocker struggle with the hot pace that the other he had? And does he struggle to be top 7 by not being able to run a 332? So that that could have been a different result.
No, I thought the same thing. And it was funny because the Chariot heat was a slower heat, as I mentioned at the top. So I thought, okay, it's going to be the reverse. I think Hocker was going to make it regardless. He just has the ability to qualify and put himself in position to finish high. Like that's been the case in NCAAs when he's winning and Olympic trials when he's qualifying for the rounds and then winning. So I think he would have been fine regardless. But yes, I think Centro would have had a much better chance. Now, the race wasn't that, like it wasn't night and day slower. It wasn't as if it was a 345 race and a 331 race, but just a couple seconds there, a little bit easier pace. And I think that would have played a bit more into his hands. It's tough. It's tough to figure out, like, with the way the heats are drawn, you got to be prepared for anything. And he was prepared for this because he ran that mile. He ran the Centro mile to get tuned up. He ran 349, which equates to pretty close to what he ran here today. He ran 333, which I guess you'd put it about a 350. So he was right around that same spot. So I think he was prepared to run fast, but I think he's always going to fare a bit better in those kicker races. So I think you're right. I think he would have had a better shot in that other heat.
Yeah. It's not the end of Centro, obviously. I mean, he's definitely going to go another year. 2022 is at home. Maybe he does well there. Then he extends it all the way to 2024 for another Olympic shot. But like I said earlier in the segment, this could be the first act, or it turns out maybe the first act of the changing the guard was all the way back in December at the end of the pandemic, where there was this random B Heat 5K and Cole Hocker and Matt Centrowitz were running to the line where Centro got the best of Hocker in that race. And Hocker was wearing a high school elite kit, like wasn't wearing his like just like who's this high school like college freshman sophomore type kid going up against Centro in a B heat of a 5K, and now multiple iterations later, Hocker dominate the NCAA scene. Hocker going toe to toe with Centro at the Olympic trials twice, right, in the prelims and then in the final. And now Hocker is America's great hope to win a medal in the 1500, and it's not Centro. Like, it's just wild. Like, when we think of like USA and the 1500, like who has the best chance to win a medal for USA, it all falls on the shoulders of Centro, right? And now, like, now that there's been almost, now it's all on Hocker, and Hocker's been looking good. And it's just wild. Hocker's still a college kid, too. He's not even pro, right? Is Hocker going to go out there, win an Olympic medal, and then lace up for the Roy Griak cross-country invitational? Like, is that what's about to happen? Go to
Perhaps.
Nuttycombe? Hey, Olympic medalist here in 10th place at the Nuttycombe invite through 4K.
Yeah. You have to like just his ability to be in the right spot at the right time. His kick has not failed him yet. I think you have to like his and all the confidence in the world, right? Like, he's not second guessing himself at all with any of these moves, and he's so far exceeded everything that has been expected of him. Before we go, I know we have some American fans that listen.